shows now at this point, so we might as well be like enjoy what we can enjoy.
They were like the first sitcom that like included a lesbian.
Friends is so I don't think it's
that
I
like
like
Friends.
Yeah, they have that
Carol and
This is
Carol and someone
POC
else.
controversy.
Yeah.
I can't remember. So no one told me life was gonna be this gay. All right.
I know how many claps go with that.
Christian, this is me. I use he, him, his pronouns.
I'm Mary. I use they, them.
I'm Cora. I use they, she, but gender is a social construct, so it doesn't matter.
I'm Sapir, and I use she, her pronouns.
Yo, I'm Zai. I use he, him pronouns.
I'm Squish. I use they, them, or she, her pronouns. Yeah, gender's fake.
You're right. Alright, so what's it like being like a QTPOC in like real Southern Alabama? Like, how do y'all feel? Who wants to like?
Who wants to start that one? Me!
Yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
Can of worms.
So,
It's like 6 kids.
my personal experience is real specific, right? We've talked about it. For me, being black and being queer has always felt, even before I knew I was queer, it's been like, I've always had this feeling that I was going to have to choose at some point in my life between two parts of my identity, but I wasn't sure what the other one was. I was like, I know I'm black. What else is there? And then I was like, oh, I see. You know how you find out you're queer? And so I was like, well, everyone can see that I'm black, right? So I'm gonna lean into this queer angle, like real hard. And so I pushed myself into a lot of queer spaces, into a lot of white queer spaces. And for me personally, I feel like until this past year, I gave up a lot of myself in order to allow myself to be queer. Because I wasn't able to express certain aspects of my blackness and like things that I feel passionate about because I wanted to focus on my queerness. Until I went to college and I joined our Students of Color Alliance at my school, I wasn't seeing visibly queer people of color, and then I got to my Students of Color Alliance, and it's like, hey, we're basically all the brown people on this campus, and we're all queer. At that point, I realized I could hold on to all the facets of my identity at the same time, and I didn't know that I could do that until that point.
I relate a lot to that because it is a lot of like sometimes you get into like predominantly white spaces that don't like they're kind of ignorant to what it's like to be a person of color, so you really just so you can be accepted by people who also identify with you in your like with your like sexuality and like gender identity, you give up a lot of like what makes you like your skin. Like you basically take your skin off just to fit in.
I'm gonna
with
put my
something
melanin
else.
over there.
And drop it off at the door. And that sucks because at the same time, I feel like I love having all of us here to have like this conversation, but I feel like there needs to be a space where we can have this conversation with people that are POC, because until we can have that conversation, no one can truly learn. It's good for us to like come and talk about it because we're all different people of color. We all have different experiences, so it is good for us to come and talk about it, but it is also good to educate so we don't continue to create an ignorant space within the LGBTQ community. Because I also think that a lot of people, a lot of like white people in the LGBT community don't think they can be racist because them and of themselves are a minority, like being in the LGBTQ community, so they think they relate to other minorities, and it's not the same at all. Anybody else got words to say?
Well, being Latino, just in general, it's a more masculine, or you have to be really feminine or masculine. Me and Mary were just talking about this yesterday. There's no in between, so you can't be a man and be feminine at all, or like people will start making rumors because grandmothers, chisme, all that jazz. You can only be one or the other. Or being queer is not even accepted at all, at least in my family, because we're very hardcore Catholics. My mom was, and so she became Christian when she eased up on queer people of color. But my dad, he always wants me to play football, and he doesn't really accept that I can be anything else besides masculine. He always asks me, what are some cute girls you met at camp, even though he doesn't know that this is a queer camp. So it kind of makes me feel a little worse every time he asks, what are some cute girls you're talking about, because like, I feel like this dread. They don't never accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
There's that. Mary.
I've always had to choose whether I'm American or Mexican,
Yes.
and I've always been told I'm neither.
Mm.
So even though like I have a home, I feel like I don't fit in. Because if I go to Mexico, everyone's gonna be like, what is this American doing here? But then here, people are like, you're Mexican, go back.
Everyone here has probably had an experience with a very southern, very racist, homophobic, like multiple experiences. So it's weird to see that each experience in and of itself, even though it's like racist and like homophobic, is like they're targeting
There's different flavors of racism.
Yeah, different flavors of racism. You pick your racism. Like, are you gonna be hit with a slur? What are they gonna say about where you're from? It feels weird to be a POC now, because it feels like, oh, it's getting better. More people are recognizing their like blatant racism, but at the same time, it feels like we don't have anywhere to go besides other people who are POC.
It leaves us in this weird middle ground in purgatory, trying to find other people who are like, hey, look, I'm lost too. Can you direct me to an Applebee's? Like,
Would you like the apples or the bees?
The bees.
Bees.
I'll take both.
Bees?
As a mixed race person, I have been told by my family members that I'm too white to go to dim sum whenever we get dim sum. Which is like, if you don't know, it's like a big family style meal. Like, everything gets passed on the table and stuff. And there's just this weird kind of shame about like that I'm too white to be Asian, but I'm too Asian to be white a lot of the time. And like whenever I go to get food with my family, my hands shake so bad that I can't use my chopsticks. And then there's the shame in asking for a fork. And then I just get made fun of like the rest of the dinner, and they're like, "Oh, and like you're so white," and it's just like, thanks, Ma. I never felt like I had to choose between being queer and being a person of color, but I feel like I've had to choose between being Taiwanese and being white. Because my mom is white. My mom is very white. And so I'm white passing. But there's still this weird kind of like, whenever I'm out with my family, we get weird looks because I look white. My sister does not look white at all. My brother looks just not Asian. Or, you know, whatever Asian looks like, according to white people, or even Asian people. And so there's just like, we get weird looks because my dad looks, I guess, like typically what people think when they think of an Asian person. That's my dad. And then there's me, and I look like a Caucasian and a half. And then my sister looks traditionally Korean, even though nobody in our family is Korean. And it's just this weird, I don't know, just kind of shame that I feel when I'm going out with my family for no reason, because society has pushed that I should feel shame for not looking Asian.
I can actually go off that. Because I identify personally as mixed race, even though like, and it's always like changed because like all the time people ask me if I'm like white or like if there's something in me that's like not white, but then it would always be followed by, oh, I can tell you're not like fully black because you have like really nice hair, or like, oh, you know, like just like stuff like that. And then I like never told people that I was like anything other than black because it really offended me when people told me that I looked better than other black people. Yeah. And that like it just like, it really bothered me. And people, one time I had an experience at school where I just was like, no, I'm just black, and they were like, no way, like your hair is like really nice, there's like no way.
You're too pretty to be a complete black.
I was like, what? What? I've changed a little bit because my mother is half Thai and black, and my dad is Haitian. But like, I was predominantly raised like by my mother, and she's very black and very Asian, both at the same time. And like, I've received a lot of like her culture, and it's raised me to be who I am. And so like, there are aspects of me that are like really Asian, and like, I can identify with Asian culture and being Asian. I don't know why I would have to like feel ashamed of it because I'm black, and I don't know like why I should ever have to like choose between like being black or being Asian. It's just like really weird because I feel like because I'm predominantly black, I should identify more with it, and then my own family they like make fun of me and they're like, oh Sapir, you're so white, you act white, you don't identify with black culture. And it's like, I completely do identify with black culture and being black, but no one seems to get that. And like, I find that even among like other black people, and I'm totally fine and comfortable, they don't seem very comfortable with me. I think, and I'm pretty sure it's because of how I look and how I choose to speak. And so like, you feel like there's rejection from like both sides, from like, there's rejection from white people, from Asian people, black people, and you're just kind of in the middle, and you're just like, well, there's really nowhere I belong. Except for me, the only place I feel like I truly belong is usually in queer spaces, which is why most of my friends identify as queer.
I don't think we should have to like put ourselves down so that another person of like who is ignorant to continue to live and be ignorant, because I feel like we're not educating people. That's why I love like, because queer spaces are really good with that, about educating people, because everyone wants to talk about this is how you use pronouns and this is what people go through and understand that, but no one's doing that for people of color.
Because of the fact that everyone has these different identities and these different intersections of their identities, usually between their gender and their sexuality, they do want to talk about what they experience and how to best handle those experiences, because, you know, in a cis-het world, we don't get to experience it the same way that the cis-het people do. And so by raising awareness and by talking about it, we get to experience some form of relief. The fact that people don't allow us the space to talk about our experiences and things that harm us, even in queer spaces, I think is indicative of the fact that, of what you said, like almost at the beginning of this, white queers don't think they can be racist because they're already a marginalized group. And they don't think that marginalization can exist from within the marginalized, from within the margins, which isn't true. There's intersections to different aspects of identity and different aspects of things that people go through that we can still not understand and make light of in ways that are harmful to those people. And I think that's something that's important for the queer community to recognize.
Can we end with more friends?
Yeah.
Alright. 1, 2, 3. No one told you life was gonna be this good.